Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Priti. I'm a photographer based out of Manchester here in the UK, and I shoot primarily live events, so concerts and gigs and portrait sessions with musicians. So today's video is going to be about live band photography and how to kind of get the most of when you're shooting a concert or a gig festival, whatever you want to call it. I've got a few tips and hopefully they will help. If you do have any questions, as always, just comment down below and I'll get back to you as and when. So my first tip would be, when you've got access to a show, go in and kind of scout out the best locations. So 9 times out of 10 when you're shooting at a concert, you'll find that there's a photo pit at the front. Now in the photo pit, if it is busy, you can find that photographers kind of all group together and end up shooting the same angles. So one of the things that I find is really great to do to get different photos and set yourself apart is just separate yourself from the clan. So if you find that 5 people or photographers are in this area, go onto that section so that you can take different angles. As soon as they shift, go the opposite way. Kind of mix it up a little bit as much as you can to get something that other people aren't going to get. I find this really helps just to kind of get your own angle and style of work into there. Now obviously when you're working with a band, or if you're working with say the venue, or if you've got full access to the show, I guess, you can definitely jump around a lot more. So you can definitely shoot from, different parts of the venue. So you might go for the crowd photos. You might go for documentary shots of the crowd, because it's great to get photos of the band, but it's just as much about the engagement and the fans having an amazing time and the energy of the show, as opposed to just the artist on stage. If you've got a set of stairs, so a lot of venues, certainly here in Manchester, there's like a balcony. So if you've got access to that balcony, definitely go upstairs and get those wide angle shots, or zoom in if you can from the top there, so you can get different sort of compositions of the band and artists and what's going on. So even though you might be shooting the band or artists, it doesn't mean that you only take pictures of that. There's a lot more going on at a live show than just like the cliche photos. The second thing would be, if you've got access to the show and there's no limitations. So what I mean by no limitations is that most concerts, especially on a bigger scale, it tends to be 3 songs, no flash. So if you've got full access and no restrictions in place, you could maybe use a flash gun to get different lighting. That again just depends on the style of photography you're creating though, and what sort of aesthetic you're going for, but that could be an option to include some sort of lighting to get different shots. The third tip would be, obviously, try and get to the show as soon as possible. So if you are shooting say for a publication or something, you'll find that you've got a set that you're shooting and that's it, and maybe no access to other bands and artists. But if you're shooting for yourself, or you're new to photography and you're still learning, you can definitely head down early and cover as much of the show as you can, so you can practice a lot more and kind of experiment with maybe the style of photography you want to shoot if you're at that stage. And not only that, but it's great to kind of head down earlier and warm up with the support acts, and kind of so you're ready for like the main show itself. You might find that the lighting can be challenging sometimes. So as I said before, you might be able to access the show fully and use a flash gun in that sense, and kind of have more light to play around with. The other thing is, when you're photographing a live band, definitely shoot with a lens that supports low light photography. So what I mean by this is a lens that's going to support anything from 1.4 to 3.5. You could maybe get away with 4.5, but you want something that shoots lower, so anything between 1.2 to I'll say 3.5 maximum. That just means that obviously your lens is the right kit for you with the body, depending on what camera you're using. The low light will obviously enter the lens a lot quicker, and it saves playing around with the settings and things too much whilst you're shooting. The other thing is, when you're shooting concerts, definitely shoot in manual mode. It's very challenging to photograph concerts. It may not look it, but it is all about timing, and you need to take note of sort of like a mental note of where the light is bouncing. So if you've got your band or artist on the, you know, on the stage here, which direction is the light coming in from? Is it left and right? Is it highlighting the face? Is it backlit, so you're ending up with lots of silhouettes? You need to kind of dissect the lighting and figure out where you need to be and what's going to work to get the best photos possible. This all comes with experience, but certainly, you know, if you're still starting out or sort of intermediary level, definitely study the lighting, because that's what we're doing as a concert photographer. We're really playing around with the light that's available, and obviously the subject, which is the band and artist. So although it may not seem as complex as it looks like, you know, when you see a photo, there's actually a lot of you know, skill that's gone into taking those photos, so you can definitely differentiate between them. Another tip I would say is look out for that energy shot. What I mean by the energy shot is, obviously if you're shooting concerts, you'll be a massive fan of music, no doubt, and you want to get those shots that get the engaging shots. It might be like the, you know, the fans engaging with the artist, or if the band or artist comes out on into the crowd, if it's at a smaller venue, try and get that interaction and that energy between the two things, because I feel like, you know, music's important. It really unites people, and to be able to get those photos as part of a story from a show, I think a lot of bands and artists and, you know, management and publications really love that. They really want something that captures everything and not just one element of the show. So definitely look out for you know, stuff sort of beyond just the band on stage. Look around, see what's going on. A lot of the time, you know, as I said before, if it's the first 3 songs, no flash type of thing, you don't have much time to play around. But if you're sort of at that level where you're still learning these things, you can definitely start learning at smaller shows, and that will translate when you are shooting, you know, the bigger shows later on. And that's how you set yourself apart, really, from other photographers in the industry, because that's what you want to do. Another thing, I guess my last tip would be to, in post-production or editing, as part of your workflow, try and think of, you know, what sort of style you want to stamp on your work or your photos. Will people know automatically that this is your work just by looking at it, or might they not yet? It comes with time, as I say. So it might take a little while to develop it all, but I hope these tips help you in photographing a live band. If you guys have got any questions, as I said before, do comment below and I can get back to you. And I will be back soon with some more videos, so do keep an eye out for that, especially coming up to December. I'm going to try and shoot as much as I can. The baby isn't here today, which is why I can speak a bit louder, and I have not had to rush it. This is like my first take, so I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'll be back soon. Bye for now.